Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who just rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome to another week of Bat Minute Returns, the podcast where we blow hot air at Tim Burton's 1992 sequel to Tim Burton's 1989 Batman movie, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to bring the fire, it is I, John Parker.
And we have another returning guest from the first go-round, Dan Kampling.
Hello, folks.
Forgot to ask if you have anything like you want, any way you wanted to be introduced in particular, Dan.
Oh, no. That's brilliant. Just like that. Simple.
All right.
Yeah, people will remember you from last time, surely, as well. You were one of our earliest guests, in fact.
I think, because last week we had like one of the tail end guests, and now it's like way back to the start of the movie. We're all over the place. We're crazy.
We're mixing it up.
Thanks for fitting me in.
But today we're here to talk about minute 16 of Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Minute 16 begins with the Bat trying to get something off his dashboard, or I guess it's called dashboard. That is the dashboard, isn't it? That's the front of the car.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, we'll go with dashboard. And it ends 1 minute later with the Bat doing some yanking. So,
or somebody else is doing the yanking, because special effects and all. But I'm not sure if you guys have noticed this yet, but there's one improvement that they've done to the Batmobile since the last movie. It has windshield wipers now.
It's very random that, why did they think we need to put that in the film? People need to see that we've put the wipers.
Well, what else are those clowns going to hold on to when they're trying to blast the windshield?
That's a very good point. Like, that's probably the actual thought process, isn't it? Of they were like, well, we need them to be on the car, but how are they going to hold on to the car? I don't know. Put some windscreen wipers. It's fine. It's fine.
But like in between movies, it's like someone just smeared something on the Batmobile windows when they forgot to put the shields up, and he's like, "Oh, damn it! I've been felled by such a minor thing. Oh, Alfred, come on, we gotta have a talk."
I think the first time that I noticed that there was windshield wipers on that particular car was when I saw Looney Tunes back in action, and when they showed the Batmobile there, they had them there. And I just thought, well, that's weird. What are those doing there? And it wasn't until a couple of years later when I'm actually watching Batman Returns again, I was like, oh, those are the windshield wipers. So it was there during at least one of the movies. So it wasn't something that Joe Dante added, just be like, oh, let's make it more funnier. But so it's always been there.
Well, I preferred it, though, if Joe Dante was just like, it always bugged me. Because I never got to make my Batman movie, but if I did, I would have made sure it had them windscreen wipers on that freaking car.
You'd have seen those things, baby.
Yeah, and plus it's snowing out as well, so it's like, yeah, Batman, you're going to need that. But I guess maybe he probably have like the heated dash or something to keep the windows clear and stuff like that, but
Oh, yeah, maybe he invented that. I could imagine that. Actually, you brought up the snow, though. Can I just say, I don't want to insult anyone because they do what I cannot do. But this snow looks very fake. Like, yeah. I've never noticed how fake it looks. It looks like shaving foam.
Right? Yeah. Like when it's driving through and it's just slushing it off the side, it's like that doesn't feel like real snow. But I guess you're kind of like, well, it's movie snow, so I guess you'll get into it. But to me, it's not as distracting as earlier in the movie when the penguins baby carriages going down that water and just the little cornflakes basically are just lying there so they're not going into the water. Just like that's a little like I guess the excuse on that one's like, well, it's a movie, so you got to accept that on it. But I'm just like, come on, that could have been a little bit better. I mean, I'd expect that from stuff from like the 40s and the 50s, but nowadays it's like, really, this is the best we can do with snow. It's basically potato or flaked potatoes or whatever it is that they use, that they say, and then or salt. Yeah,
you could say that since Burton is trying to evoke an older time in cinema, an older look, an old aesthetic. You could claim, well, he's going for old effects as well.
You could claim that, but you'd probably be like, no, we just... You could claim that like this was the after effects of all the Smilex that was in the atmosphere.
Yes.
It's just all the snow is falling. It kind of turns into the stuff by the time it gets to the ground. It's like, yeah, the air in Gotham's just not been quite right since that happened.
Oh my God, it should have been like green snow. A tinge to it that they can't get rid of.
Yeah. But speaking of getting rid of things, though, Batman manages to get these guys off windscreen wipers or no. I will note, though, that this is entirely coincidental, but the very similar scene or like a kind of set piece to this is in the Batman versus Predator comic, where the Predator's on the front of the Batmobile, and he does a very similar, just like kind of speeds up and then stops and goes flying off. Although I can't imagine this, because I think that was published in like December of 91, so it's very unlikely that it would have been like, oh yes, we're doing a nod to our current Batman Predator crossover that's out in the stalls right now. So
that could be exactly what it is. I'm going with that. That's my new canon.
Yeah. As Tim Burton was like, I loved it so much. I have to work in an homage to it in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, these guys, and they go flying in into the flaming toy shop. Raphael is getting cooked, as we noted there last minute.
Yep.
I do love, though, that we see like Fire Devil or Devil Clown or whatever you want to call him. Like his reaction to seeing these guys go flying past, he has a kind of look on his face, and you can't tell if it's him like revving up his lungs to blow, or if it's a genuine kind of like, oh, like he's just sort of a bit shocked, but like, oh Christ, these guys are just gone flying past. But then he makes a very strange play of just like, well, like machine gun fire directly on the windscreen didn't stop the Batmobile. What am I gonna do? I'll blow fire at it.
That's bound to work.
Yeah, this will shake him. Like he's bound to run away from this. And then we got seeing. We didn't actually mention who Fire Clown is last week.
Oh yeah, we saved it deliberately, didn't we?
Yeah, so this is an actor called John Strong, who's up there with Sam Ham and Bob Cobb in the rhyming names division. And he's not actually been in that many things. He plays two parts in this, because he's also the Sword Swallower that we see. We saw him briefly last week, and then we'll see him a little bit more later in the movie. But he's not been in that much. He's been in something called The Doberman Gang, like Father Like Son, and something called Big Time. And then I was very excited to report, John, that he's also in a movie that's got an exclamation point in the title.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in John Goldfarb, Please Come Home! I was like, we've been taking note of this, Dan, throughout, because like I personally love seeing exclamation points in film titles. I'm sort of toying around with the idea of like, maybe after we're done with this Batman business, I can start a podcast that's all about just like reviewing movies that have exclamation points in the title, because I just want to call it I Do Declare. And there you go. It's like, the joke's too good. It's like, I'll probably get like 5 movies in and be like, yeah, the novelty's wearing off, you know?
But you could do a monthly podcast.
But I mean, John Goldfarb, Please Come Home is definitely going to be in there. I'm going to be watching out for Fire Devil.
But yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that he's in the Doberman Gang, because I've seen that movie a couple of times, and yeah, that's an interesting movie where it's somebody has like a bunch of Dobermans that actually like commit crimes and stuff. And I think if you just watch the trailer, they have a scene where it's like literally Dobermans just go in and they tell them that, there's a note to like put money in their bags and stuff like that, and they all just leave. It's a crazy movie. So if you haven't seen that one, you gotta look at that one.
That's amazing. Is it played straight and like serious, or is it a comedy?
No, it's straight. It's straight.
Yes.
Like the only real thing I can remember, some kid gets involved and he gets bitten by a cobra snake or something like that. And there's just weird little nuances there. But I like the movie because I used to have a Doberman, and her name was Raider. And because we saw her stick her head in the head of the refrigerator, so we're like, oh, that's her name, Raider. But that's the real story. But as I was like thinking of other ones, I was like, oh, I named her after Raiders of the Lost Ark or something like that. But that's the true story.
That sounds though like they could have been maybe like Dan Waters or Tim Burton were watching the Doberman Gang and we're like, what if we did that but with penguins? And they're like, oh my god, yes,
there we go.
Perfect.
There we go.
Everything's connected.
He's just, I really like that one guy. Can we get him in the movie?
Did you recognize him in the Doberman Gang? Did he look like a devil?
Yeah, that's what I'm just like. I'd have to look at it again because I can't quite picture where he was in the movie, because obviously the thing I remember the most about the movie is the dogs themselves. But
I'm assuming he would have been doing something like specialist with his mouth, because it seems that he like is doing this and the sword swallower. It's like he must have like this is his thing. It's like, yeah, I've got like a throat made of iron or something. Like I can just. So imagine if there's any bit of the Doberman Gang where someone like gets, I don't know, like a sword shoved down their throat. It could have been this guy.
Well, I believe that he's actually a real circus performer, because I've seen Facebook posts from him. And like one anecdote that's about this movie that pertains to him is that eventually we'll get up to it when something burst up. He was told that you're only going to be on fire for about 20 seconds and you'll be done. But apparently after it happened, it took 20 minutes for them to fully put him out and make sure he wasn't smoking at all. So, but I think he said in his post, I think I read a post where he was talking about this. He was saying that they paid me extra for it, so it was all good, everybody. So don't act like But the only thing was that all of the hair got like on his face and everything got cinched off.
Well, saves him shaving later.
Yeah. Oh, but you can see though in the still he's got a killer mustache. So I'm assuming if that was real, that was gone straight away.
Dangerous business being lit on fire.
That's the thing though, because we kind of have to dodge around calling him like Fire Clown and stuff like that. We've said it a couple of times already. Like I think even last season, but I have a feel like nowadays, if this scene was in a DC movie, he would have been like. Like in Batman vs Superman, they had like, oh, this random photographer who gets killed. That's Jimmy Olsen, and you just didn't. Yeah. You only found out later, and then there's like that random kind of thug that's going around the whole movie, and you find out afterwards that was KG Beast. That was who that was supposed to be. And you're like, well, I imagine now they probably have a little thing of like, oh yeah, this is Garfield Lynns. This is Firefly.
100%.
Yeah, that's our version of Firefly. You got to see him for like 5 seconds, and he's gone. And he wouldn't like. He might. Nowadays they might even put him in the suit. They might even just had him flying around, but like, yeah, we're flat out having Firefly. We've got a guy lighting fires. We might as well have him in the freaking thing. But now the tragic at this point, that it was like, nah, it's just a guy. This is a guy dressed as a devil, and he's gonna get some comeuppance very soon anyway. So it would have been worth paying to freaking get Firefly properly.
For one second, let me just go back as well to the guys who go flying off the car, because again, I'm going to sound like I'm nitpicking here. They fly off the car into the shop there, but they are very clearly on a wire. Like the way they move is the most unrealistic thing I've ever seen in my life. But I love it at the same time. I think it's great.
Yeah, does inertia quite work that way, or but in the movie it does. So there you go.
Well, one of them actually, like, he kind of semi-lands and then jerks back upwards again. It's like because they've clearly just like yanked on the thing.
Well, they got this business that's happened throughout this entire takedown of all the crooks. It's like Batman. He's a one blow guy. Like he took those guys off the bikes. They didn't get back up. So I feel they probably could have. Like these guys, they fly into the fire, but they could just like fall on their ass and then get up and be like, oh yeah, go straight back into rioting again. But it seems to be like no, everyone's taken out with one blow. That's all he needs to do. So.
Like a martial arts movie. If Bruce Lee hits someone in the face, then the next bad guy comes along. It's one at a time, isn't it?
But not Firefly. He takes a bit more effort to subdue. I don't know so much. He probably could have taken him out in a much simpler fashion, but Batman's decided to show off a new toy he's got in the Batmobile here, of this thing that comes down, lifts up the Batmobile, rotates it around, and then plops him down again. And then he uses the afterburner and then just blows a load of fire onto this guy in a bitter, like, ironic way of taking him out. I guess this is Batman's sense of humor. He's just like, you know what? like this, you think blowing fire at me is gonna scare me? That's cute. When you see this, buddy, F- you, and there you go.
This is the furthest that this Batman's gone as well. I know in the last movie he did blow up You know, he used those bombs. He blew some people up.
Yeah.
But in this is extreme. He's just burned this guy alive with a jet engine.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. With no remorse.
There's plenty of snow and stuff for him to, put himself out there. You know, he's got a chance. Yeah, drop and roll. That's essential.
This is always brought up, though, has been, like, examples of, like, you know, top 15 times Batman just killed somebody. And this is always brought up. It's like, you don't see him dead. You see him running around. He could just be really, really hurt.
Right, yes.
He's engulfed in flames. It's not a small blaze.
I guarantee you it took 20 seconds to point that out, to put out that fire, and there's no way it would even possibly have taken longer than that.
Of course not, especially not 20 minutes.
Yeah. But people also point out as well, like, you know, there's always people like to criticize, oh, Batman, he's just got, like, whatever he needs at that exact minute, like the anti or the shark repellent spray. It's like, yeah, he just happens to have that on him. And people always point out this as well. It's like, yeah, he's got this thing to specifically turn around the Batmobile just so he can blow this guy on fire. It's like, there's like a million uses he could have for that thing. If you're
right,
yeah, it's like, it makes total sense. He's got this. If he can't cut a corner, he's just like, all right, I've got a thing to rotate the Batmobile, so I'm not stuck in a tight spot in any way.
It'd be handy in real life, I think, you know, for helping you get out of tough, you know, spaces or maneuver into a parking spot better.
Yeah, I can imagine there'll be a lot of people aren't Batman. A lot of people be really stupid with something like that. Just having a rotating couple of tons that they can swing around.
Yeah, he's got to work on. Yeah, he's got to work under it and stuff. Yeah, it can be used for lots of stuff, and it's a lot better than because in the Adam West, I can't remember if they ever did it. They probably showed it on the show, but I just remember in the movie they they would drive in. There was a platform that would turn the car back around and stuff that wasn't attached to the cars. But I was like, oh, this is practical and useful, and you know, and it makes a good joke where it's like, oh, fight fire with fire, of course.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite sort of ways to take out a bad guy in this entire movie, I'll be honest.
I wonder if is the guy thinking to himself, though, as he rotates, he's like, oh my God, it's working. He's actually running away.
There you go.
I can't believe I've beaten Batman by just waving a bit of flame in front of him. And it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. All we need is Robin just going, you know, atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed, bang.
I will say as well, though, that I found a clip on YouTube of some random guy who owns a replica of this Batmobile. Or it might even be the genuine, maybe he got the actual, like, one of the things. But I did note that it's him, like, driving it around a park. And that afterburner does do that. Like, a couple of times it just goes, like, big bursts of flames just come out of it. So that's
insane.
That's an actual thing it does, apparently. And it's now in the hands of some random U.S. citizen who could, I don't know, could be like, oh, you know what? I'm taking the law into my own hands. Damn it. Fire for everybody.
Oh, my God.
You know, that's why we got to be responsible for our toys and stuff, which is what we learn later in coming minutes along the way. But, you know.
Oh, yes. Good little tease.
Yeah. I will note as well, though, when I was a kid, I always thought, because he takes off again now, like Batman driving away, and there's a screech of the Batmobile. And when I was a kid, I always assumed it was that guy screaming. Like, that was him. He's on fire. He's screaming in pain. And it's this really weird scream he does. And then only now, later on, I was like, oh, of course it's the tire screeching as he goes away. But apparently, like,
on snow.
But it's that Smilex snow, so like, God knows what that is. And yeah, then we cut back to Selina Kyle. Selina Kyle.
Can I make just one last before we move on to about our fire breather? I guess that would be the appropriate name for him.
Yeah, no problem.
When I first saw this movie, when it first came out, I would have been 3 years old. Now, when we saw it at the theater, I swear this is the story I always tell people, and I'm going to keep telling it until I'm debunked about it, but I'm convinced, and I'm 100% sure, that when we first saw this movie, the movie started off on the wrong reel. And the first image that you saw of the movie was earlier in the minutes, where you see that fire breather blowing fire directly into the camera. And I remember seeing that and just reacting to it, because it's just like, you know, like, it wasn't like I was scared. I was just startled that I was like, okay, what the hell was that? And what's going on here? And I think they knew what they did, and they cut it off real quick. And I just remember we had to wait a little while longer because I think that they had to rewind the movie and start it back up. But I remember specifically that had an effect on me that throughout my I can't quite remember when I stopped doing it, but every time I went to the movies, I would always cover my ears when the movie was started because I didn't want that to happen again. Because one of the things that's about me as I've grown up is that I really hate when you're in a quiet room or somebody like shouts something at you or says something. I'm just like, don't do that. That startles me too much. And so it's like at some point I'd really love to see another film print of this movie, because I always like to take note like when the real changes are going to be, and I want to make sure for 100% sure that like that's what they did there, because I'm pretty sure it seems like it would line up with it, but hopefully it was. So that's like another anecdote with that fire breather that I remember specifically for him, that just seeing that, it's just going like, okay, what in the hell was that? That wasn't Batman. What's going on here? But then like when they started the movie again, you see it's like, oh, okay, he's a bad guy and stuff, and then Batman's going to take care of him and stuff, and it's like, oh, it's
I'd love it if it started with that, actually, because you'd be thinking to yourself, oh my God, who is this amazing villain? And then you see him for like 5 seconds later in the movie. Like, oh, all that build up for nothing. And I think that would be, I like the disappointment.
It would have been like a nice twist, though, if it turned out that like that wasn't the villain. That was actually Harvey Dent dressed up. And he's just like, yeah, I'm out entertaining people during the Christmas tree lighting. And then he's just like, oh, I'll use my fire breathing to help. And that's why I'll test out these toys first. And then he's like, oh, here's Batman, my buddy Batman. And then he lights him on fire. Wow. And that's how the Billy D. Williams version of Harvey Dent got turned into Two-Face.
I like these creative people. I like them.
Could be. I mean, that's that next version of Two-Face we see in the next movie. That ain't Billy D. Williams. So headcanon. Now that's what happened to Billy D. But yeah. Now we get first we got a shot of Selina Kyle's magically wandering glasses, because they seem to have gone a couple of feet away from her since the last time we saw her.
Yeah, perfectly matches the outfit.
I sympathize with this as a glasses wearer. Like, in tense situations, mine have just flown off my face. Usually it's when I'm like seeing a band and it's like really cramped and sweaty gig. And like my glasses will just go whoop and disappear, and I have to try and rescue them before they're crushed.
You don't want to do the Steve Urkel thing with the little string around them.
Yeah.
I have done that once by necessity.
I do remember seeing like one time like a photo someone took at like a con somewhere, and like these two people cosplaying, but one of them was dressed as Velma from Scooby-Doo, and the guy was dressed as Cyclops, and they'd both done the thing of like, oh, I've lost my glasses. So Velma was down on the floor like reaching for her glasses, and Cyclops was down looking for his visor, and they were kind of reaching for the wrong thing. I was like, so that's a really, I wonder if they're friends or if that's like they just randomly met up and they're like, we should do this will be fun. But it left an impression on me, so good job, random people, whoever you were.
People brought together by the wonders of all this geekery.
Especially right here at the Bat Minute.
Oh, yes, of course. The number one place for lovers to meet is the Bat Minute Listeners Cave.
I was like, I'm trying to think of like, have we hooked up anybody yet? It's like, I really want that to be true, but... But yeah, again, I checked the previous minute Selina Kyle's in. The glasses dropped straight off her face, straight onto the floor. I don't know, because she's standing in the same spot. I'm assuming someone came along and kicked them away, and she just stood there for a bit, because they're a good distance away from her now. But yeah, then we got as she reaches for her specs, we see a clown of some sort looming over behind her, and then the Batmobile pulls up. The clown grabs Selina Kyle, and then we get a nice shot of Batman's Air Jordans again as he struts his stuff out of the Batmobile.
But yeah, beforehand, when he kind of dips out of the hatch deal a little bit, you can kind of, it's kind of like one of those things where I'm like, oh, the suit's not really designed for him to be like sitting or kind of doing
anything
like that, because it's like kind of part of his face is on the other side and stuff, and I'm like, God, they did make a lot of improvements between the first one and the second one with the suit, but still look like kind of the problem with like, with him sitting down and stuff. Yeah. If it's not like secure, him coming up, it's like it'll look a little off there. So like whenever I see that, I'm like, ooh, that's a little off there. But
he definitely looks more mobile in it. Not perfect, of course. Right. The cowl still looks quite tight, but he's moving a lot more fluidly than in the previous film.
Yeah. we do get a little bit of a sort of, I'm assuming this would be David Leah, maybe, doing on the way to confront I think it's called either Stun Gun Clown or Terrifying Clown. And I think, like, Stun Gun is at least accurate. Terrifying, yeah, I think that's him reaching it. He wants to be known as Terrifying Clown, but not so much. But yeah, dude, like on the way there, Batman just randomly just takes out a guy who was just walking along past. And then, as he walks up to him, though, and this seems a bit like over theatrical, where it's almost like he's a gunslinger. Like, he kind of goes into a stance of, like, getting ready to take out what we know in a second is going to be the grappling hook. But it just, it looks a bit, not that bit campy, maybe, or it just looks very pronounced. And just in terms of, like, yes, I'm walking over here, and yes, I'm getting ready to do this movement. I'm swishing the cape back, and I'm getting my hand ready, kind of thing.
Oh, I thought he looked kind of purposeful. I liked that.
Yeah. I guess you say, does he know what he's going to do already? Has he already sized up, like, yep, I'm going to... Oh, let's not get into spoilers for what he actually does.
Of course, there's another, like, clown in the back that's firing off a gun and stuff. It's like, I'll take care of that later. But first, somebody's got it. But he's knowledgeable. It's like, oh, somebody's got a hostage. It's like, oh, I can take care of this. Because it's just like, because you already know, Batman's already like, okay, I already know what I'm going to do and everything. But this guy doesn't. And I got him. And then just one other note that there was some deleted dialogue that Michelle Pfeiffer's character, Selina Kyle was supposed to be saying, where she was supposed to have a bit about saying, like, oh, you just broke one of the heels of my shoes. Why couldn't you just broken my jaw? It'll heal, but this was the last pair. And then that's when the clown tells her to shut up. And I'm just like, yeah, like, cut that out, because no. Because I did read a little bit of the original Waters one, and that's like where the Penguin had a headset, and he was like observing everything that was happening.
Well, you mentioned the Penguin on the headset, right? What do you make of that? Because neither of us are fans of it. We're glad it's gone. Like, it's too much talking.
No, yeah, I agree. Yeah, too talking and just too, just too high tech. Where I'm just like, no, it's supposed to be within the confines of like circus paraphernalia and stuff. And just to me, it just seems like it reminds me of the Trial of the Incredible Hulk with Sala playing Kingpin, where it's like most of the time you see him like at like a big board or something. He's got sunglasses on. Like, that's what I was picturing when I saw that. I was like, no, it was great where he's just looking through the sewer grates and everything like that. And I kind of wish we could see, like, I'm glad it's not in the movie, but I always like one line of dialogue that was in an earlier minute where the Penguin would have saw the bat signal. He's like, oh, Batman, you're here to piss on my parade or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that would have been cute.
But yeah, this in that Waters draft, though, this is all within the Shrek building. Like, the whole street confrontation happens, and then Batman goes into the building. But it actually has a bit more of a feistier Selina Kyle. The characterization's a little bit more different, because she has that dialogue where she's just a bit of a chatty Cathy with the guy holding her hostage, and then she actually apparently she's supposed to with her other good heel, so slam it into his knee, knock the stun gun out of his hand, and then Batman comes along and does that old carpet routine where he yanks the carpet and then knocks the guy out, and it's very, very like. Yeah, I have to say that Dan Waters draft, not a fan, not a fan of it.
Yeah, it's I think one of the main things I remember reading it was that I was like, gosh, it's like in the movie somebody says just a sentence, but in Waters draft it's like a paragraph.
Yeah, that's something that they've had recently. Michael Keaton's kind of come out. I think it had been said before, but he's sort of reiterated it in an interview. And it kind of made headlines where he's like, yeah, I cut out like most of Batman's dialogue in this movie because it was just like, he doesn't need to say that. And he would just go through everything going, I think he said like, oh, that's a great line, but you should get rid of it. And a lot of the time, it's not even a great line. I think he might have just been nice. And he's just like, no. But it's not even just Batman. It's everybody. Because Catwoman talks loads. The Penguin never shuts up in that first draft. And Batman's yammering all the time. And I think it might have just been a thing. It's like Wesley Schrick's, like, I think his contribution, a lot of it was just like a macheting of just loads and loads of unnecessary waffling, basically, throughout the whole movie.
Sometimes that's what a script needs. You can overdo these things.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that's what this show needs a lot of the time.
Well, this is the only option that we have. It's all audio, so we have to talk. If it isn't, you're listening to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Keaton's Batman just works so great with just the look. And it's like, yeah, and as we're seeing here, he's not saying anything, not trying to negotiate, not trying to do stuff. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to do it. And,
yeah. But we've got our first good look at the clown makeup here. And I have to say, before doing this, I never put the connection together that he's got a red triangle over his eye.
Oh, hence the name of the gang.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just always assume, like, oh, yeah, they're called the Red Triangle Gang because, like, a red triangle, circus tent.
Yeah,
okay.
all of them have it.
And only now I'm like,
Oh.
it's only now I'm like, oh, yeah, they all have a red triangle over their eye. Oh, I get it. So it only took friggin' 31 years. Well, technically 29 or whatever it is since the movie came out.
I love your idea of it being the tent. I'd never thought about that. That's great.
Well, that was my assumption. But now it's just like, oh my god, it's just layers upon layers with the script. But yeah, and I also noted his makeup, or his mouth makeup.
Yes,
it's just a smile. But it really reminds me of Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. For some reason.
Really. I always thought that, like, on the sides of his mouth, he kind of has the bat wings of the emblem, and I'm like,
Yes.
hey, maybe he's a fan, and he's just like, yes, I finally get to have a confrontation with the Batman.
Yeah, maybe he does just want to meet him. Like the way people sometimes insult celebrities on Twitter just so they get a reply.
I've been tempted to do that to scare up some guests sometimes who won't give us the time of day. I've been like, you stupid jerk! And then they reply, it's like, yes, sir, I just wanted to see if I could... So you were paying attention to me, asshole. You just ignored me before.
Yeah, we're calling you out, Danny DeVito. No, we love you, Danny.
But yeah, of course, then we get the... one more step, Mr. Batman, and all! And
God, bet it is. He is being, he's being a little, being a little bit intimidating. So,
Yeah.
You get the fear from Selina out there and stuff, and it's just so great that I can't give enough praise of just Batman just giving that look. He's not panicked. He's not like, this escalated good. He's like, no, he's doing exactly what I want him to do, and then we'll find out. Yes,
I love that because to me it kind of shows, like, not that he was ever particularly panicked in the last movie, but now he's even more seasoned. Yeah. He's even more of a pro. This is nothing to him. He's like, well, I do this every day.
Yeah. We should mention, though, the guy playing terrifying, or I'll just call it Stun Glen Clan, because guy not so terrifying as I said previously. But this is Branscombe Richmond, who is like one of the interesting things with him. In a mixture between his acting and stunt work, he's actually faced off with Stallone, Arnie, Van Damme, and Steven Seagal in movies.
Whoa.
So, he's in Rocky 3 and Cobra with Sly, obviously. He's in Commando, The Running Man, Kindergarten Cop with Arnie, obviously.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder who he was in Kindergarten Cop. Huh.
I think this is the stunts for that.
Just stunts.
Apparently,
Okay.
in Commando, he's someone called Vega, who I don't recall. I'll have to watch Commando again to see who that was.
Oh, no, wait, I think I know who he is.
Yeah.
I can picture him. Oh, no, that's really weird.
You're just picturing a guy with like it's like a mask and a big claw and stuff. Like, no, it's a different Vega.
Not that Vega. God damn it.
And yeah, apparently he's in Hard to Kill with Seagal. But now he's facing off against friggin' Batman. So that's an even bigger step up. And then later on, he go off to face off with The Rock in The Scorpion King. But most people would know him from playing Bobby Sixkiller on 110 episodes of Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas, which was a show. That was I know you guys remember Renegade. I remember Renegade just been on.
Because it's a show I've never heard of. So
really,
I've heard of it, but not seen it.
Oh, it used to be on like every Saturday afternoon, like when I was a kid. It was one of these shows where it was basically just an excuse for explosions and for Lorenzo Lamas to get his shirt off a lot. And but it was a real kind of like, at the beginning to give you like a whole like he was a cop who was told on he informed on other cops. Now the tables have turned and they're trying to kill him and all this kind of stuff. And Renegade was a cop who was on the run. and then he met up with a bounty hunter who was Bobby Sixkiller, who was this guy. And then they became bounty hunters, basically. And it was very, very silly. And it was very stupid, massively bombastic action show that you probably couldn't make nowadays because people are a bit too self-aware of how silly it would be.
It sounds amazing.
There's also noted as well in To the Limit, the Anna Nicole Smith CIA agent movie, where Anna Nicole Smith played a CIA agent, which is, I'm sure, very believable. And he's also...
Was that just her trying to do VIP?
Could have been. It could have even... Because I think it was like mid-90s. It could have even predated VIP. Could have been that Pamela Anderson was like, the hell with this. I'm swiping that idea. And he's also in an excellent movie called The Hidden, which is like an alien kind of body swap movie. With it actually has an opportunity to see Kyle MacLachlan play a weird, quirky FBI agent pre-Twin Peaks. Oh, that's a great movie. Highly recommend The Hidden if you get a chance to. But yeah, that's who this guy was. We get a return to a thing we questioned a lot in the last movie: the grappling hook moving up in the belt without any kind of prompting. It's like, yeah, this is what he does. You weren't here for that, Dan. Did you have any thoughts on why the grapple hook just knows to slot into position when he needs it?
Yeah, because it isn't really a mechanism that you can punch up something there. Yeah, because it does. Yeah, that is a weird functionality. Well, wait a minute. In the first movie, when he's talking to Vicky about how much he weigh and stuff, he is pressing something on the belt buckle. So maybe he's trying to activate something there, but of course, in this one, he's not touching that particular part. So he must have it linked to his brain waves or something. Yeah. Or it's like a certain thought, it comes up. That's really stretching it.
I don't know. I can imagine it could have been a practical thing. It's like, well, you could just have him reaching behind it and taking it out from his back. Or they're like, no, the cape's too heavy and it looks too weird when he does it. Just so it'd be cooler if it slots into position. And it'll make him look even cooler as well because he's just standing and the thing just... he's like a gunslinger who doesn't even need to sling the gun. Like the gun slings itself.
You still got to reach for it and stuff, but it's just like, because later on, when another certain device that pops up, that comes into play, again, it does the same deal. So it's just like, oh, it just must have a slot there. It's just, okay, here's one for the left side, here's one for the right side.
Yeah, handy to have. I want one.
But yeah, he does. He slings that grappling hook and shoots past Stun Gun Clown's head into the wall.
Oh no, he missed.
Yeah, the Wayne Enterprises pocket fisherman appears once again, just like it did. Yeah, just like it did in our previous minutes, where I was like, I do want one.
That's why we got you on, clearly.
But yeah, and then we just have the sort of like, oh no, Batman's missed. I have to say though, that when I saw this movie, I knew exactly what was going to happen, because this scene, this was the scene they always showed when they were promoting the movie. It was this scene and the bit where the Batman, the Penguin, and Catwoman meet for the first time outside the church. Was it always that scene, or this in particular would be like, in the news, they'd be like, coming out next week, Batman returns, here's a clip, and they'll be always like, haha, you missed, and I'm yanking out the bit of the wall. It's like, well, that would have been nice to friggin' have that not spoiled for me in the movie. But...
yeah, that's not good. Plus, we know Batman doesn't miss.
Yeah, that would have been... We'll never find out now, though. Like, what exactly is it? He has missed. Because we see he's about to do something. But what's it gonna be the minute ends here? So
could it be a callback to something that he did in a previous minute that we looked at?
Perhaps.
I never put that together. Yeah, actually, it was weird that you're here for both of those.
Well, just like that, man. I totally intended.
Oh,
yeah, it was all deliberate.
I feel so manipulated now.
Yes.
Oh my god. It's like, find out after all this time, it was Dan Kampling's been pulling the strings of the show all along.
He's really booking all the guests.
But yeah, that's all I got for this minute. Do you guys have anything else?
No, I'm all tapped out of notes.
I guess just the only thing I could bring up on this one was that I'm trying to remember was it in the first draft or the revised one? Like, wasn't this clown character with the stun gun, wasn't he supposed to be kind of like thuggish or something like that, if I can use that word? Because I thought they described him as something like he had like clown or something, like a medallion or something like that. I just remember that for some reason that there was like some indication in the script that they were like more like street gangs or something like that. You know, like they had that look, which they didn't do here.
Yeah, he's actually called Neon Necklaced Goon.
There we go.
Yeah, and he's
now I remember that.
Apparently, he has like a flashing neon necklace, which is actually a thing that I think that even when he gets knocked down, it kind of flashes in time with his breathing and stuff, apparently. Which sounds very kind of like Joel Schumacher saw that, and he's like, the next movie, that's everywhere.
Yes.
We're going to have all neon all the goddamn time. That's just they finds out from the studio. It's like, we give Tim Burton a neon budget, and he didn't touch a penny of it. It's like, all that neon just went to waste. Just take it all, damn it.
Before we head into the dark night, Dan, do you have anything you'd like to promote, or anywhere the listeners can get in touch with you? Or maybe not. Maybe you want to keep your presence secret and unknown into the shadows.
Ooh, that's a good idea. But I think last time I was teasing about a Dick Tracy Minute, which I'm still developing and I'm still getting a lot of information. And at one point I really want to take a trip to this special collection in Iowa, which has this original piece that Max Allan Collins did. He wrote the novelization, but apparently he wrote a first draft of it that was more like, I'm just going to take the story where I want to take it, and it's probably going to be different from the movie.
Ooh.
But then like Disney found out about that. It's like, no, you need to stick more closer to the script. So then he had to like scrap that and just stick more close to the script. And I'm hoping at some point I can gather that knowledge about it, because, you know, with this one, I don't want to leave any stone unturned for it. I want it to be perfect and stuff. So hopefully maybe it'll come out at around the 30th anniversary of the movie, or probably sooner. So that's something you could look forward to. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Yeah, launch it then. That'd be amazing. That'd be perfect advertising for you. It's all built in.
Absolutely, and I could probably count on you guys to drop in for a couple episodes.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, I'll come and ruin your show for you. That's fine.
Just like I'm doing for this.
Any opportunity to just do an Al Pacino impression for a while. Like, I was like, yep, that's one of the... I've managed to work him in a couple of times in this movie already for just no apparent reason. So
you never need a reason to do that. And something else you don't need a reason to do, you can just do this whenever you feel like it, is stop by the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, send us a message, just post anything Batman related. It hasn't even got to be about this movie. It hasn't got to be about the last movie. Anything Batman, just put it in there and we'll all like it and chat to you. Or send us a tweet on Twitter, obviously. And also review us on iTunes, because that's a lovely thing to do. It'd make you a nice person. The karma would reward you, I'm sure. And join us again on Wednesday, because we will be back with more Batman Returns. It will be minute 17. See you then.
Next time, awkward intros. A back-headed blow fells a petrifying Perot, while a quiet crusader towers in the snow. But will an invite to chat with a curious cat be met with a bat's bashful no? Find out Wednesday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.